Welcome to the Lightforge. This is Abukta.
This is Merps. Hello, hello. Welcome back for another exciting week where nothing has happened in the arena.
Oh, come on. I thought I got to do the arena news.
That's it. It's done.
You
That's the
stole my
news.
arena news.
I
You were
stole the
going to
news. I'm
talk
sorry,
about
dude.
BGs and lead it, and then I was going to talk about arena first. And you stole all the content in arena.
That's it. That's it. All right. Well, you can continue to tell people how nothing has happened.
All
do it.
right.
You can do it in your way.
Okay. So, we got some confirmation that there will be a patch that's coming with week 4. I mean, they didn't even say it was going to happen on week 4, but I'm pretty sure it's going to happen on week 4 of Battlegrounds Awakening, which is next Tuesday. And that patch is going to have the arena rotation. So this is all as we expected. They still have not told us what frickin' expansions are in the rotation. We're still guessing it's going to be standard. We're pre-running all the algorithm stuff for it's going to be standard. But, and with no offering rates. Just because it takes a while to like these things have to work overnight and stuff, and then so you have to fix some like errors and whatever that pop up. So we got to do this ahead of time if we want to be ready on day 0. So we're guessing that, and we're doing this with no offering bonus. We're pretending there is no offering bonus in this rotation, which historically we don't really know if it's what they've done because Savers of Oldham went away after the rotation. It just didn't continue. And on the other hand, Rise of Shadows kept its offering bonus. So this may be a terrible assumption. Like maybe Galakron's, and we all know Galakron's Awakening doesn't really have an offering bonus. So like maybe Descent of Dragons will still keep its offering bonus, but hopefully it goes away because people keep complaining about Twin Tyrants, right? And Twin Tyrants aren't going to be seen less frequently in this rotation, assuming Descent of Dragons is still in. Unless they take away the offering bonus. So, there's that.
Yeah.
There's also going to be a little more extra dilution because currently the number of cards that are in the meta is less than the number of cards that is in a standard rotation. So, Arena being standard would dilute things a little bit. Or at least being standard in the very end of standard, right? Because we're at the very end of a standard life cycle. So all the sets are in. So you're going to see less Twin Tyrants no matter what, I think. But you may see significantly less of it if they take away the offering bonus. And also, Dragons are going to be worse. Dragons are almost always going to be worse no matter how they do no matter what sets kind of get rotated in. Because you have all the powerful Dragons in right now. More or less. So Twin Tyrants are going to be a little less annoying in the next meta at least. And it could potentially be a lot less annoying. Just because it's not going to be seen as frequently. That's all I have to announce. We don't know what's really in the next meta. If it's really going to be a standard meta, we've said this before, it's going to be crap. Like, a standard meta in the arena right now will be terrible. Because all 3 large expansions in the last year were terrible for the arena. So, there's just nothing they can do about it. They can bring back buckets, they can do whatever they want, they can think of new creative ways, but unless they have someone who's like, picking and choosing what cards go in the arena and like doing custom offering rates and whatever and killing all the OP cards, which is like way too much work. They're not like this is going to be a bad meta. So yeah, all good things happening for the arena.
All good things. Like we said, we just don't know. They have stopped giving us news, and by stop, they never really gave us news, but they're definitely not telling us what's happening now. Heck.
Whoa. They announced before the launch of every single, rotation, what the next rotation is going to be. By the point that is 2 days before the set rotates, we have always known since they started rotation. This is the first time that we didn't know.
When they somewhat superficially cared.
Yeah, exactly.
Now we are more than half a year after they stopped putting out leaderboards and didn't acknowledge it.
Yeah.
Like we are 6 months from that.
This is like we're in an area where they're communicating less and less and less and less when it comes to the arena. And they're doing less and less and less and less. And this is a pattern that's continuing into 2020. It did not like get better in 2020, at least not yet. So just so know, this is not like everything as business as usual. This is let's do less for the arena, even less than what was less before, right? Let's communicate even less. Yeah.
Basically. All right.
Oh,
Having
before
said
Battlegrounds,
that,
one more complaint. I just need to bitch about this for one more time. Remember
man.
Galakrond's Awakening? How they didn't even tell us that all the cards were going to be in Galakrond's Awakening on day one in the arena? That was yet, like, to this day, that has not been announced. Blizzard has not officially acknowledged that that's what happened or what should happen. Now,
And you know what? That would have been great for the arena community as well, for more people to know about
yeah.
that, so it gets more people into the arena.
Yeah, like, do you
Because
want to
people
play
want
with
to play
all of
with
these
it.
cards that
Yeah.
are not in standard yet? Go to the arena that's all there already. Nope, no announcement, nowhere, not even in the patch notes, nothing.
Nope. And that's a way for them to advertise for their product, right? It's not like they're even doing us a favor; it's them doing themselves a favor. But they didn't do it. Like tangentially, it would have helped out, but really, you're helping yourselves because you're giving players a way for them to access it. You're just not telling them about it. It's like coming out with a brand new shiny feature and never telling people about it. So I don't know. Anyways, having said that, I don't really play Arena these days. I'm not saying I'm done with Arena forever. You know, this is not like a Hafu or a Shady Bunny kind of announcement here. But I am playing a lot more BGs, as you guys see on stream. I think for the past like 3 weeks or so, I've just been playing BGs. And this week, I decided to get a bit more serious about it. Not like super serious. I can never be super serious because of the MMR system. The MMR system right now is such that you need obviously a lot of skill, but you also need a ton of time put into it. And I just don't have the time. But I decided this week to make a slight push to just play serious, see where we can get it to. So I was at 7.9K last Sunday. And as of this podcast, which is Sunday afternoon, so it's basically a full entire week, I'm a little bit over 9,000. So an increase of more than 1,000 MMR, which is pretty good.
What's top 200 right now?
It's 9.7.
Okay.
So I'm still
Getting
like
there?
600 away.
Mm-hmm. And are you still
Wait.
climbing? I'm guessing.
Oh yeah, I'm
Yeah.
still climbing. But the further you climb, the more games it takes. As you guys probably know, if you get first place and you're at like 4,000 or 5,000 MMR, you get over 100. And then as you get higher and higher, you get not that much. You get 80, and then sometimes you won't. And once you get up to like Victor, 12 wins, like his MMR #1 in the world, or Collins or Dog, you're getting like mid 60s, high 60s for first place. So you're not getting that much. Also, congrats to Victor, who this week just took #1 in the world over Katie. Victor, or 12 wins. You might remember many
Arena
years
players,
ago
all the arena players
was
playing Battlegrounds.
the #1 arena leaderboard player. Oh my gosh, the memories,
Alumni
man.
of the Lightforge podcast.
I know. He was on here, and great to see him doing well. Not only in the game, crushing it, but he also just got back to streaming. And he's doing very well, pulling some great numbers because of his success in Battlegrounds. So congratulations to Victor. But talking about Battlegrounds, I want to explain a little bit about why I play Battlegrounds right now instead of Arena. And I want to clear up a couple of misconceptions about Battlegrounds as well, because whenever people are a bit critical regarding Battlegrounds, one of the things I hear is, I don't like the randomness. I don't like how random it is, and I want to be in more control. Now, that is a huge, huge, huge misconception, and I want to clear it up and state that if you are looking for something skill testing right now within Hearthstone, if you want your decisions per unit of time to matter, BGs is so far ahead of Arena, and I don't know Constructed right now, but it's so far ahead of Arena right now. it's not even funny.
It's
And
not even
I
close.
like that. It's not even close.
It's not even like we're talking like not just like doubly. We're talking like 10 times as impactful
yes.
at least. And this is not just a knock on like the current arena, which is one of the lower skilled arena metas, if not the lowest skilled arena meta that we've seen for any extended period of time. The arena at its best was never half as skill testing as Battlegrounds.
Yeah.
By unit of time.
By unit of time.
I think that's very, very important to like break out, right? Because a unit of time is in Battlegrounds, let's say you have 1 minute. That unit of time, you're making something like 50 decisions, 100 decisions, 200 decisions, depending on how complicated the hero you're playing on, what stage of the game you're in. In the arena, in 1 minute of time, when it's your turn, you're making effectively like 5 decisions.
Yeah. So this is something we need to clarify, right? It's like when we say more skill testing and more decision making, it's really just amount of decisions. That's one axis, and the impact of that decision or of any decision, the average impact of every decision, right? So in arena, you're just like the things you get are deciding on are not that much, and because of the timer and because of the pace of the game, your average impact per unit of time is very small. In BGs, lots of times your average quote unquote decision is not as individually impactful as you playing a card in the arena, but you make so many of them, you're like machine gunning decisions in BGs. And because of that, it is so much more skill testing. So if you want a more quote consistent mode for you to show off your skill or for you to just learn, right? Like people want to be able to learn and have that learning be rewarded. Like I found this week incredibly rewarding, not just because I climbed 1,000 MMR, but because I actually learned stuff. Definitely play BGs. And part of that has to do with the arena meta, part of it. But as Adwicta said,
part of it.
Yeah, as Adwicta also stated, the speed of BGs and the nature of it is extraordinarily skill testing. And it's really cool because some games are games that make you feel as though they are consistent, but there's a lot of RNG behind it. BGs does everything in its power to make it seem as though it is so random, but you need to be the Neo here. You need to be the one to see the lines of codes, like the ones and zeros, rather than the lady in the red dress, right? You need to be able to see that. So that's why I play BGs right now. It's incredibly fun. Also, I like the learning process, but I want my decisions per unit of time to matter, and that's why I play it. That's why I'm advocating for a lot of people to play it. I'm definitely going to check out Arena once it rotates, no matter what happens.
Yeah. If you guys are wondering, like the day of rotation is going to be Tuesday. Tuesday night we do a stream. Like I'll be playing then. I don't know when Merps will be playing, but he'll definitely be playing Arena when it rotates as well. And then he may go back to BGs if it's terrible.
Yeah,
which it will be. Like I find it very hard to believe that Arena in the next rotation will be not terrible. It's just it would astound me. Just because of what they have to deal with. Like they have to like not do standard first of all. But anyway, I'm gonna bring right now the opposition point, the other perspective. So everything Merc said is true, right? Battlegrounds definitely way more, like 10 times, 20 times, who knows, more skill testing than Arena, and then Constructed. When it comes to Constructed just has another problem in the whole skill testing thing, which is for Constructed, like you can kind of map out all your decisions because you're using the same deck. So, like, what do you mean by skill testing? Do you mean each individual decision? Well, it's all mapped out. So, like, only idiots will make wrong moves for, like, the vast majority of the decision. Like, assuming you played your deck for a while. So,
the thing with Constructed...
Like, you're working in a different paradigm here. You're like, oh, that one particular decision here, right, matters so much more. But... like if you're on a per decision basis or a per time basis, it's not it's not going to touch Battlegrounds, right? Like it's not even going to touch Arena, I think.
Yeah. So I've spoken with like a lot of Hearthstone pros previously, and when you get to the highest levels of constructed play, a lot of the skill and a lot of the time is actually spent outside of the game itself.
It's the meta.
Like you facing another person in the game. It's you thinking of the meta and planning for the meta, and that is the skill. So a lot of it is actually done outside of the four corners of the game itself.
So that's why, like, whenever we're like, oh, why play Arena? Like, people are like, why do you guys play Arena? Well, because it is more skill testing in the game. Because so much of what is, like, in esports about constructed, or what is competitive about constructed, once you reach a certain high level, which, you know, if our Arena skill were to translate to constructed skills, we're going to be at that high level. It's not in the game. Right? It's what deck you bring to the tournament. It's when you play on the ladder, who you think you may face then, what decks they're running if you get high enough on the ladder. It's just a different kind of like thing. But anyway, let me make the case for Arena versus Battlegrounds on the Arena side, which is the exact opposite of Merps's case, which is that per decision being made, if instead of looking at it as a unit of time, say in 1 minute, how much can I impact the results of this game mode I'm playing in 1 minute? I instead say every single time I have to think about something, anything at all, how much does that thinking matter? So each move, Arena, matters way more than Battlegrounds. Not each turn, each move. Because in a Battlegrounds turn, you're doing like potentially 20, 30, 40 moves. In an Arena turn, you're doing like 3 to 5 moves. So it's not per turn, it's per move that you're making, or that you have to consider whether to make or not, or how to make. So if you like to sit there and chill and really think things through, Battlegrounds is terrible, because it has a very freaking fast rope for the amount of decisions that you have to be making. And it's skill testing on, like I keep saying, right? It's an APM skill test on top of everything else, and quite a significant APM skill testing. Actions per minute, actions including thoughts. You have to think really, really fast. You have to pre-think. All of that is skill, yes, but it's per time unit. On a per question basis, Arena is still much more skill testing than Battlegrounds. I would say at least 4 times as skill testing as Battlegrounds. Because each particular decision in Battlegrounds, not only are there more obvious choices than in Arena, but on top of that, even when you're making the right decision versus the wrong decision, the mass majority of the times, the impact is much smaller because there's so much RNG. You just happen to do like 30, 40 of them in each 1 minute turn, whereas in Arena you do 3 to 5 of them. So it ends up being like no competition. But if you are thinking about it from a per thought like basis, from a per like move, what do I do? Then Arena's still more skill impactful. Even in this state. Even in like a bad meta. That's just how the games are designed. That's a fundamental design of the game.
That's true. So it really just comes down to what you want. Although it's very specific in your case, right? I find that
I don't think it's very specific. I think it's a totally normal view to say, like, what's skill testing? Well, let's make the questions harder. Like, I want harder questions. I don't want more easier questions that I have to get right. Right? Like, you're basically, like, this is the difference between I'm doing an AP Calc test with, like, double the amount of time that I should have. You're doing the SAT math with half the time that you're
I disagree with that. I think there's actually lots of pretty hard decisions, and like hard decisions as in it's like I mean, hard decisions in Arena are those sort of like 55-45 plays where you don't know, right?
Mm-hmm.
I get those so often in BGs, like multiple times during a turn as well, where
but multiple times during a turn is like 2 to 3% of your plays, whereas in Arena it would happen like 10% of your plays.
No, it's higher than 2 or 3, because quite a few times I would roll, and then like after the first roll, like buying a unit is 3 gold. That's a huge commitment, right? Like you buying up any unit is a huge commitment.
Right.
And then I'm just actually sort of like on the fence. I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if making this tempo play or making this slightly greedier play is correct here. So I think it's higher than you're giving it credit
Well, how many
for,
per turn?
definitely.
How many times? You say that happens once or twice per turn. We've established you have like 20 to 40 moves per turn that you're making on average at Battlegrounds.
Wait, 20 to 40 turns?
Well, no, moves per turn. Like roll or not.
All right, well, what are you
move.
defining as
Buy
a move?
or not is a move.
Because like we can break down anything into like for an arena. I can be like, okay, I like one move could be you like there's 3 units, right? And then you can make all these possible stupid trades. They could all be moves.
Okay, I just mean like each move is like which one to attack, which way do I play my my mana, right? Like if I have like just one card that I can play, then I have no moves. That's not a decision I have to make. If I have 2 cards that I could play, then I have to make one decision. If I have 3 cards, then I have to make like you have a couple decisions, but you usually don't get that many in the arena because you're usually when it comes to what cards to play from your hand, it's usually you get like a choice of between 2 or 3 things.
I feel like this conversation has to like we'd have to get into it super deep because we'd have to define what is a quote turn or what is a move, right? It's like, is it buying that like if you're
like in Battlegrounds, whether you buy a unit. Like it depends on how many viable units there are. Let's say, like how many units you can potentially, like not being totally silly, purchase, right? And each time there's one of those units, that's the equivalent of having a card in your hand that you have to play because it's a way to spend mana, right? Like in the arena. So you get that and or roll, right? So whenever there is a possible buy that's not a super obvious buy, then you have a choice already. Whereas in Arena, if you have something to play, that's obviously not a choice, you just play it. And in Arena, if you have 2, in Battlegrounds, you could have 2. And every time you hit the roll button, you get another set, right? You have another choice. And then positioning, right, is another decision. And you have to make that decision on each one in a way that, I know in Arena you're supposed to position, but you really don't have to. So there's a lot of decisions. And positioning matters so much in Battlegrounds. Like, so much, which is what I've learned.
Actually, so much.
So much. Like, it's mattered so much that I've gotten decent at it. And I only get decent at positioning in games when positioning matters a ton, because I don't like wasting my... Yeah, I don't like wasting my energy on it, because it's like, it's hard. You have to think in
you have seen I remember when we got that Duelist sponsorship, you were very much so about position, because in Duelist... It's super matters.
Yeah, it's like in Fire Emblem, oh my god, I'm positioning like a freaking mastermind. Because that's half the game, right? When you're playing. So in Battlegrounds, positioning really is like, I would say like 25% of the game. At lowest 20% of the game. It's deep. And it's very important. And you have to position almost every single one of your units, especially in the late game. And it's not like the super obvious one. Like you have a normal thing, right? Where you put something that's small, expendable in the very front. You put the things that need to stick around at the very end, like your mama bear or like your junk bot or whatever. But then all the middle, and then which ones you taunt, like all those are decisions. So you're doing 20 to 40 decisions per round on average in Battlegrounds. And then 1 or 2 of them matter. Like, not matter. I mean, 1 or 2 of them, like, are that 55, 45 impacts that you're talking about. So, let me rephrase my example. It's not that Arena's taking an AP Calc test and Battlegrounds is taking the SATs. Battlegrounds is taking the SATs, but in each section, there's one AP Calc question thrown in, and you get half the amount of time. The AP Calc test is AP Calc with double the amount of time. And you get a few random SAT questions thrown in. That's
okay. This analogy is getting way. All right, I sort of understand the point that you're making. I think we would have to define these parameters a lot more. I think it's interesting, right? I think it's interesting. We both made quite a few good points.
Yeah. Let's put it this way. Do you agree with the fundamental concept that whether it's Constructed or Arena or Battlegrounds or really any strategy game, the hardest questions are like, let's say the 45, 55 kind of questions are all about the same level of difficulty. Because if it's even harder than that, you can't think like that anyway, so you're capped out
by
regardless.
definition.
Exactly.
Like 55-45s or 55-45s.
Exactly. So they're all about the same. So at no point are we saying like the hardest possible decision in Battlegrounds is harder than the hardest possible decision in Arena or Constructed. They're all about the same, and that is true in almost every strategy game. I'm going to bring chess in here. That's not true. Okay, it's true in any because chess you can actually break.
You have to rephrase it in a different way, because by you calling it 55-45, you're automatically saying it is a 55-45.
Yeah. You're automatically are putting in a like the limitation of human fallibility, right? Like you're not solving your problem. If you could solve your problem, it would not be 45-55. It would be 100-0. So we're already working in a different system here. But anyway, my point being, so I'm not saying like Arena has harder questions than Battlegrounds. I'm saying a much higher percentage of questions in the Arena are the really, really hard ones compared to Battlegrounds on a percentage basis. But your impact of skill is higher in Battlegrounds because of on a per time unit, because you have less time to make all these decisions, and you do still have these really hard questions that come up also. That's how I view the two. And as you can see, this is how I derive joy in life, by taking the AP Calc exam and the SATs in various mixed manners on a timer. That's how I view playing this game.
Yes, excellent. All right. Having said that, having broken this down, I do want to give you guys a little bit of knowledge that I've gained this week, a little bit of advice to help you in your BG play, and I want to talk about some general things that I think can definitely help improve like 5K players, things that can definitely help the Adultas of the world, the 7K players.
I'm a 7.4K now.
Oh,
I was ranking up. I started playing demons in the demon meta. That helped a lot.
It does help a lot. So
can we start with just like demons and like why I'm always picking demons? Not because they're really good, but because I'm trying not to pick demons, but I can't.
You can't. No, you can't. You have to go out of your way to not play demons.
Like that's crazy.
It is crazy. That is actually pretty crazy.
What's that one guy called that like grows that you get in the very beginning? Wrath Reaver. So if you get him in the early going, you have to take him right now, and you get him in the early going like 80% of the time, no matter what class you play.
You do, because nothing scales faster than demons, and this is just like okay. When I climbed from 7.9 to 9.1, I think 85-90% of my games were demons. If you want to climb, that's just how it is right now. Do I love it? No. I've actually complained about demons many times on this podcast, but that's what you have to do. And part of what makes demons unfun is the fact that demons invalidates 80% of all hero powers. It makes everyone homogenous, not just in that, hey, everyone's going demons, but the scaling of demons is so high that a lot of times these dinky little hero powers that only give you like 2 attack or +3 health, they don't do anything. You'd much rather use that 1 gold for another roll to get your, second or third floating watcher, soul juggler, etc., etc. You'd much rather do that rather than just get a tiny bit of stats when you're just like, wait, no. Every time I buy a demon, I'm getting like +4/+4 on my golden Wrathweaver, and also another split +4/+4 on my 2 floating watchers. So heck no, I'm not using my hero power. That's one of the most disappointing things. When you have scaling of that magnitude, it renders so many hero powers obsolete. So yes, you're absolutely correct. For this meta, by the way, I think everyone is anticipating a patch dropping this week, possibly Tuesday, which is when they drop a lot of patches. So it is possible we will see a new meta on Tuesday. Until then, though, Adulta is totally correct. If you get a Wrathweaver anytime in the first few turns, you are demons. You go demons. That's just it. If you pass up the Wrathweaver, you are throwing. That is not an exaggeration. You are actually throwing. The game is giving you a way for you to potentially at least top 4, or you're trying to top 4, and you're saying no.
That's even if you don't get a floating watcher. Like, I get Wrathweaver and I don't hit my floating watchers. That happens way too often, and it's totally RNG, and I hate it. But then again, mech's not hitting like your Kobold or whatever is probably similar. But like, I still get 4th or 5th, like without hitting any floating watchers, and like getting having too low health by the time I can do that. It's terrible and it's silly, and that brings me to 2 questions. First question: in every single one of my games, 3 people, one of them is me, go demons. What the hell are the other 5 people doing?
Throwing.
Okay, just wanted to make sure, because in my experience, 80% of the time I get the Wrathweaver in the early going.
So
and
here's
I have
the
a
thing.
Decent sample size.
Sometimes you just don't get the Wrathweaver. About 1 or 2 people in the game. So you can also make the bad decision to tier up a little bit too fast. So here's what I'll do. One of the strategies I've been implementing is if I get 3 really bad heroes, right? If I get 3 really bad heroes, let's say I get like Wagtoggle, Patchwork, and also
Pyramid.
Yeah, Pyramid, right? The meta is such that, like, if it was another meta, maybe I can try stuff with Wagtoggle. Maybe I can try stuff with Pyramid, because their hero power is not bad. But with the meta the way that it's at, what I'll do is I'll just recognize that, like, okay, I'm just going demons. Like, I'm actually going to force demons. And for you to do that, I just stay at 1. I stay at 1 until I get double Wrathweaver. So sometimes it takes me a while too. Sometimes turn 1, I don't find it. Turn 2, I'll buy something else. I'll roll. It's still not there. Turn 4, it's still not there, but I'll double roll just to get a Wrathweaver, and then I'll get it going. And some people aren't staying at 1 and forcing demons, and that's bad. Which sucks, right? Like, you don't want this to happen. But if I just get 3 mediocre heroes, that's what I'll do. Like, that's what I have to do.
Okay, so in every game, there is 8 people. By my math, something between 1 and let's say 2 people legitimately will not roll demons. Like, they will not. Like, they just won't get the Wrathweaver. So that means 6 people should go demons.
6 people had the option to go
demons. And then 3 of them, on average, choose not to. At 7,000, like 200, 300, 400, right? 7,000.
Right. Some of them looked at a Wrathweaver and said no. And
but that's
because
half
of that,
the people, also known as 60% of like my opponents who like saw a Wrathweaver.
Yeah. They saw the Wrathweaver and they said no. And because of that, they are on average losing MMR. It's as simple as that. It really is. It's as simple as that.
That's crazy. It doesn't take that many games to figure out that Wrathweaver is insane.
I'm not saying that that's the only thing that I needed to do to go from 7.9 to 9.1.
Right. But I mean, just
I'm not going to sell myself short like that. But yeah, like
that one decision is like half the people are just making misplays to like have more fun, or they just don't know.
Well, that's it. Or we're obviously not counting for the heroes that can afford to not go demons, right? So stuff like Edwin. Edwin can very capably go something other than demons and do really well with it. Tyrion can do that. So there are some classes that can,
Okay, so it's not that bad. So probably 1 or 2 of the ones that are like the special classes that are not
right, because you're always going to see Tyrion. Tyrion is an auto pick, right?
Right.
Okay. Edwin is almost an auto pick.
Oh, I pick away from Edwin all the time.
Yeah, well, you're not supposed to. Daryl as well. Like, Daryl can just do Daryl things.
And once when I took Edwin, I went demons anyway because I got demons, and it worked out really well.
No, I mean, you can still go demons. And then, funny enough, even Edwin's hero power, which is one of the best tier powers in the game doesn't scale as fast as demons.
But you could put it on your soul juggler so he lives longer.
Oh, definitely. That's a great thing. So always buy Wrathweaver on the first few turns. If you get a mediocre hero, force demons. Don't try anything fancy. Like if you get like, Millhouse, Wag Toggle, and Patches, force demons. Stay on one, get the Wrathweavers, force demons. That will be the best thing you can do for your MMR.
Okay.
Like seriously. If you play what the game gives you, quote unquote, as in it's like, oh man, I got like double Murloc War Leaders with a couple Tide Hunt. No, stop that. You're not Murlocs, you're not beasts, you're demons. Do it.
Okay, so second question. Assuming you're not a bad class, assuming you're an okay class, right? Like, let's say you're, I don't know, Ratham or something, right? Like a good class. You are not getting, at what point do you not go demons?
So this goes to my second meta specific advice. There are really only 3 end game viable strats here. Okay, I'm going to talk about the 4th one, which didn't quite make it. Okay. The 4th one,
but first, like at a certain point, you can't go demons anymore, right? Like you get to a point, like even if you have nothing else.
Right. No, this answers your question. This is gonna answer. So the 4th one, which doesn't quite make it, are beasts. Any kind of beast.
What?
It's just too. Yeah,
I got first with beasts.
Yeah, that's like the once in a blue moon kind of thing. It just really doesn't work because it's so expensive. Beasts are really expensive.
Yeah.
You need Goldrin, right?
Yeah. And I got a lot of Goldrins.
Yeah. That's a tier 5 unit.
But that's what happens, right? You roll to tier 5, and it, I wasn't able to start demons because I didn't get Wrathweaver. I got a bunch of beasts. Then I rolled a Goldrin. Then I got another Goldrin, and then I got like a Hydra. And it was just like, all right, this is like
so here, so beasts are out of the top 3. And they're kind of a distant 4. Like they'll work, but because of their lack of consistency and because of the price that you have to pay to start really building it up, they're 4.
Okay.
3rd is Murlocs. And they are even harder, they're in some ways cheaper and in some ways more expensive / high rolly than beasts. But because of the fact that they beat literally everything in the game, right? Literally everything in the game. Okay. Endgame Murlocs beat everything in the game. Right. Nothing beats them. That's why they're 3rd. Number 2 is Cobalt Mechs with refreshes. And number 1 is Demons, right? So what does this mean? Well, if you look at the top 3 that I just named, Murlocs are endgame, so you don't have to think about it at all. So literally the point in which you say, I'm not going demons anymore, is you only have 2 sort of like actual hard commits here. As soon as you start getting kobolds, or as soon as you start getting watchers, that's basically it. Like the game has devolved into that. Like I was just talking about sort of like, oh, it's so skill testing, and it still is, but the meta right now is such that you can try, keep on trying
on the execution, not on the grand strategy. The grand strategy is like very similar for like all the classes now because of demons. Okay, right. So if I have one Wrathweaver and I've been like buffing him, and I have a couple of demons because like whatever, and then I'm on 3 and I'm rolling for floating watchers, and I like, I don't know, rolled once, right? And then I see a kobold. Do I just take the kobold and switch to mechs, or do I like not take the kobold and do demons?
You can go a mixture. Okay, you can go a mixture right now as well, right? Because you can get like a couple of kobolds with like 1 refresh, and you still have 4 slots, so you can keep on buffing up your guy. Maybe you throw in a soul juggler as well with a couple of 3/3 demons that spawn the 1/1, so you get the couple pings in. That's still pretty good. When I'm talking about these comps, obviously feel free to mix it in a little bit. The only comp that you can't mix in really with other comps is beasts,
Yeah.
because beasts like need too many spots.
Yeah.
Mechs, you don't need that many spots to be super effective. And demons, without floating watchers, you can go, Wrathweaver plus maybe like one watcher plus mechs. You can also go sort of mechs with a couple of demons and like a golden soul juggler. Or with demons, when we talk about demons, you can go big demons or you can go shooty demons, right? So when I say demons, both of them are really good. You can win with both of these variants. But to answer your question, because of the way that the top 3 works out, you really don't have a set comp. You should stay fluid, try to keep up in tempo with everyone so you don't lose too much health. And then it's really like once you get the Cobalt or once you get the Watcher, that's when you are kind of committing to a comp that can get like a top 2. Because if you're committing, quote unquote, to a comp that just doesn't win, like if you're like, oh, now I'm committing to Menagerie, it's like, okay, enjoy your top
I
6.
committed to Menagerie and got number 1.
I'm not saying it never works, but if you high roll, if you do well, and if your opponents
well,
are
like you
doing
have to
some
high
potato
roll
things.
like to do anything else, right? Because
Sure.
you wouldn't like commit to it otherwise. Because you're trying not to do these
Look,
things.
obviously these examples are leaving out the high rolls, right?
Like, but like I mean, like you can commit. Like the high roll starts the commit is my point, right? So if you're talking about Menagerie, you have to assume that like you already have a Light Fang, because why else would you do Menagerie, right? Like you just wouldn't. So we're not talking about
if you already have a Light Fang with the Hydra, with like
maybe just like a Light Fang with like 3 of the whatevers, right? But not like necessarily a Hydra. You're still like you can still go for it. Like
you can still go for it. You're still probably getting top 6 because that scaling is still way behind demons.
But there's only 2 other demons if you don't go demons, maybe 3. So
So yeah, that's how it is. And this is also why if you didn't get the Wrathweavers, and you've just been playing for tempo, and you got to tier 3 and you find a floating watcher, you buy that floating watcher and you just play it as a 4/4, and then you hope that you get one of the Wrathweavers.
Okay.
That's how you play right now. Like that's how you play your percentages. So those are the meta specific things wanted to talk about. I want to give a few general tips as well. I think these would be pretty helpful to everyone. They'll be pretty helpful to you too. Some of these things I've told you, but I don't think you really registered.
Yeah, so if you're listening to this Lightforge and you've never seen me stream Battlegrounds, and I think I stream Battlegrounds like half the time because it's in the late stages of the arena meta. I play arena whenever like stuff is actually happening, but when it's about to be a stale meta, I'm gonna do some Battlegrounds. Here's how I do Battlegrounds now. Chat coaches me on a 5-second delay, and I would say 80% of the time, 85% of the time, blindly listen to chat. Oftentimes, I will pause in the middle of a turn and be like, chat, tell me what to do. I don't know what to do. And then the first person who says anything in chat, I will just do that.
Yikes.
And that's helping me climb. Because 7,000 is not a particularly super high skilled meta right now, like we said, right? Like half the people are literally misplaying by not going demons. Like this is not like the pinnacle of skills, and I generally don't have any idea what's going on in the meta. Like now I have a better idea, but I don't like keep up enough that the meta still changes on me much faster than I can keep up with the Battlegrounds meta. Whereas people in chat actually play Battlegrounds, so I'm just like getting coached by people in chat, some of whom are higher rating than me, some of whom are lower rating than me. It doesn't matter. I mean, it matters at some point. If someone's like at 4,000, I'm like, I don't really know if I should be listening to you. But if you're at like even 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, like I'm just puppet Adwicta. I just do what chat says, and it works out great. So in doing that, it's become obvious to me, one, that there's actually quite a lot of disagreements in chat on what the right move is, and oftentimes there's like 3 different, like, because the discussion will usually happen after the turn's already over, and I've done whatever the hell I've done, and people will be like, oh, I think you really could have done that, or oh, you could have done that. And sometimes I'm sure it's just like a 50-50-ish kind of decision, but other times people feel very strongly that one way or the other is right. Which happens in Arena too, right? So like, yeah, there's skill in Battlegrounds. I'm not saying it's like purely like the SATs, but it's a lot of, you got to spam out a lot of like, what's 2 plus 2? 4? Okay. What's 2 plus 4? Oh, 6? Okay. Like, you got to spam out a lot of those decisions really, really, really quickly, or else you're not gonna have time to think through the like actual big decisions.
Yes. All right. So, a couple of general pieces of advice I wanted to give to help you guys make the climb as well. Number one, I'm going to make this advice a little bit more specific because I've said in other podcasts as well. Do not commit to any tribe early, or do not be under the illusion that you are a certain tribe too early. So I'm going to make this a little bit more specific.
Unless you're demons.
Unless you're demons. No, seriously.
So this is like a useless advice in this.
No, but
because you should always be demons.
Well, so this is advice outside of the meta, right? But unless something is supremely dominant and you can actually start it from tier 1, the advice I want to give is like, you are not a tribe with just tier 2 units. So, for example, like Murlocs, if you have a ton of Murlocs, like Warriors, the Murlocs that get plus attack based on how many Murlocs there are, even if you have a lot of them, you're not Murlocs. Even if you have double Rat Pack with Scavenging Hyenas, you're not beasts. Tier 2 is not, like, if your comp is made up of predominantly tier 2 and 1 tribe, you're still not that tribe. Tier 3 is when things like start to get cooking a little bit. So that's something a little bit more specific that I think people can cling on to and then look and be like, oh, okay, well, I have the Rat Packs, I have Scavenging Hyenas, but that doesn't mean I'm beasts. Like, it's cool. It's a lot of power in the early game and early mid game for me to stop taking some damage and figure things out, but I am not necessarily that tribe. Number 2.
Okay, before we get to number 2, I realize you didn't answer my initial question. You like half answered it. And that's, so when do I say I'm not going to keep finding demons? Like, because you're like, oh, when you get a kobold, that's like fine. But yeah, when do I get to tier 3? Like, what do I do before that? Like, how do I get to tier 3? Because I could just stay on tier 1 and always roll for demons, right? So like,
if you're a bad hero, yeah, like stay on tier 1 and roll.
But if you're a good hero, that's what I'm saying. If you're like a Rafam or someone, right? Or like when do you get to tier 3? Do you just go about it normally? Like, buy a tier 1 minion, then you upgrade, right? Then you either buy one thing, or if you can sell a token, you buy 2 things, and then
you're asking something that's like way too. Okay, I mean, with Rafam, it's based on what you steal.
Okay, so not Rafam. Like, I don't know. Like, let's say imagine that there's a decent hero that just has a neutral ability. Okay, imagine if Patchwork is decent. Like, still had 60
but he's
health
not.
Or whatever.
You're telling me it's like, imagine if there's like a unicorn.
No, like, work in a hypothetical. Work in hypotheticals.
Okay.
Right. Let's say you're Neff. That seems like a pretty normal kind of like hero these days.
He is normal.
One of the only ones where the hero power is actually used. So what do? Like, turn 1, you buy a minion. Turn 2, you upgrade. Like, I assume this entire time you don't find a single Wrath Reaver. So turn 1, you buy a demon. You buy a minion. Turn 2, you upgrade. Turn 3, you buy 1, or you maybe roll, you maybe use your hero power, you maybe sell a token, depending on what you can do, right? And then turn 4, you buy 2 things. So you're still on 2 at this point. Now, on turn 3, do you upgrade? You have 7 mana. Do you upgrade and buy something? It costs 4 to upgrade.
That turn. Okay, so when you have 7 gold, that's a turn that is like normal for you to upgrade, right?
Do you upgrade without a Wrath Reaver?
No. So my decision to upgrade on that turn is not based on whether or not I have a Wrath Weaver anymore. It's based on my next opponent and how strong my current board is.
Okay, and also your current board is fine.
It's like, good. I think I'm going to be able to beat my.
You think you have a 50% chance to beat your opponent?
then no. Then I stay. What is on the board in front of me? Like, are there things for me to buy? That's like decent for me.
The one thing.
Okay, then I'm buying, rolling, and buying something else.
Okay, so at what percentage?
Just because if I'm only at 50-50 to win that,
Mhm.
probably like I want to just be a little bit stronger.
Okay,
to
so
make
at
that
what
50.
percent of winning it would you actually upgrade?
That's not really the correct question, because then after that,
No, not after that. I
almost
mean,
no, after
reset the
like no
scenario.
matter what.
Reset the scenario instead of me giving you 50, because you asked me the question. You asked me what percent chance do I have, because that's what you're looking
Okay.
for, is what percent chance you have to win on that 7 mana turn. And what percentage on that turn would you actually upgrade?
Oh, would I just feel like
Yeah.
pretty good?
Yeah.
If I have like a 75% chance to
Okay.
win, I think.
Great. So at 75,
in
you
my
upgrade.
opinion.
Now, let's
Mhm.
say you never hit 75 because you're at 50, you buy some stuff, you tempoed out, but then other people are tempoing faster, and then you keep feeling like you have 50% chance to win or lower. At what point do you upgrade at that point? Like, at what, at how low does the upgrade cost go before
So
you go
if
to 3?
on 7 gold I did not level, and
Yep.
instead I bought
tempoed.
things, the next level, the next turn,
And
I always level.
You're always leveling. Okay.
You always level because you have filled up your board.
Mm-hmm.
So that is one of the times in which you actually like. There's no point in you looking for.
Okay. So the
If
latest...
you have nothing on the board, you putting anything on the board is an immediate improvement, right?
Yep.
Immediate improvement. Once you have filled up the board, then it's like there's a huge difference there.
So at 8 mana, regardless of what is happening, you are upgrading to turn 3, pretty much. Like, I'm sure there's some like outlandish
pretty
scenarios,
much
but
for
like
a normal
95% plus of the time, you are going to
95%.
Yeah, 95% plus of the time. Okay, and then when you're in 3, you keep rolling, and you still don't get your demons, and you get your kobold or whatever. That's when you start going off demon.
Yeah.
Okay. That's really good to know. But like, that's the kind of like mental like decision tree maps that helps me. Because otherwise I'm playing it by ear, and then like, I don't know, maybe I'll roll more and try to improve my board if I get like good stuff. Like maybe I feel like, oh, I have a higher chance to get Wrath Reaver by staying at 2, right? And that's, or like a higher chance to triple up, or get Wrath Reaver, and so I stay on 2 even afterwards. But okay,
all right. So in the early game, scouting is, I would say, even more important. And it's a good thing that you don't have as many decisions or like as much gold to play with in the early turns. Because what you should do in the early turns is you should literally scout every other person, because this helps you figure out what other people are going for, such that if you are a little bit on the fence and being like, well, I don't know, like there's I can start shifting to mechs even though I don't have the Cobalt yet, but this is like a pretty good package. I have like 2 Cyclotrons and everything. If you are looking at everyone and then seeing 5 people are mechs, you're like, okay, no, like this is probably not great. You could still maybe take the Cyclotrons as just a temporary thing, but you want to make a mental note that like, oh man, probably all the Cobalts are taken by now. So make sure you scout every single opponent before you look at what is available on the board. That is what I have been doing. It's a good sort of process for you to, in the early game and early mid game, because in the later stages of the game.
And when you say early game,
what
turn does that start that you can actually use that?
So
because
definitely
the first few turns, it doesn't really mean anything.
No, the first few turns, it actually means a decent amount as well, because you can tell who's got how many people are already going demons and Wrathweavers, especially like after the first turn.
But how can you tell that people are going
because they're tribeless?
Yeah, but Wrathweaver is not a demon, is it?
Yeah, it's tribeless, so it doesn't say anything.
Yeah.
If it doesn't say anything, they either have like the Righteous Protector, or they have the Wrathweaver, right? You can already start getting a sense. Like even if it says nothing, that means that they have a a tribalist unit, which could be a Wrathweaver, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then you mark that down in your head, because if you see that and then the next turn you see that they have like one demon, you're just like, oh, okay, I know they're demons, 100%.
Okay.
So it's actually even very important for you early on, and to sort of make mental notes of that as well.
Okay.
And you have tons of time. So what I have done with my decision making is actually starting
you
from
have
the
tons of time.
Yeah, starting from the first turn, like even just after the first turn, I don't even look at what has popped up on the board. Like, I will try to scout first, and by scout I mean literally scrolling down. So it's like look. Okay, now look at the board. So for me, it's gotten to this sort of like 3 to 4 second process where I just scan, and you'll get better at it. So you'll understand it's like what this all means. Take that information and then I look over. And because if you look and you're already thinking of what I should be buying, and you haven't looked at that information on the side as to what everyone else has, you're not going to make the proper percentage plays, right? So make sure you scout. And I would continue doing this with literally every single person up until you like 8 or 9 gold. Like, that's when you either know it, or you're sort of like, you know, like worrying about your own thing. You're kind of set. So obviously you should be scouting your next opponent, but you don't necessarily have to scout literally every single person. But before then, you have some time. It's really helpful for you to decide on your comps and what you should be buying. So you should be scouting literally every single person.
Okay.
All right. And then a couple of things to also keep in mind. I'll keep these two short because I've said the first thing before, but always identify your weakest spot, your flex spot or your weakest minion. You should know before the next buying cycle what you can get rid of. You should never be thinking, or if there's 2 things that are possible for you to get rid of, note it and note it's like, okay, well, I get rid of A if I find this. I get rid of B if I find that. Have that planned out in your head. Like, they're not going to throw you many curveballs. So, like, you should have that in your mind. And then at the end, this is going to differ based on your MMR. And I would say, I'm going to generalize this, but I would say 4K players and 5K players, I think those players have a tendency to level, but maybe they shouldn't be leveling, right? Like, it's a little bit weaker. And so I would say whenever you level in general, have a good reason to level. There should be at least 1 minion you can clearly identify in the next tier that you're like, oh, this will help out my comp a ton. Make sure you can do that. And then as you get up to higher MMRs, this is something that I have seen some streamers around like 7K kind of struggle with. I don't know if you struggle with this, Adulta. I've seen Dread struggle with this a little bit. And it's a fear of leveling, especially from 4 to 5. 4 to 5 is the big jump, right? 4 to 5 is the big jump.
No, I
That's
love leveling.
jump.
I over level of anything. For 3, 4, and 5, I'm always the one being like, "Yeah, we level, right? Like, because we need 5 stuff, and we're not like anywhere close to getting a triple, and so we got to do this, and we have some help. Let's do it."
No, it's that's good. Like, I think that might be what's pushing you, you know, a little bit higher as well. A lot of people, I think, around that MMR and what's holding them back, like the 6K, 7Ks. They get afraid of leveling. Like, you know, you have this fear. We've all been there. It's like everyone is clinging on from like 30 to 15 HP, right? You're sitting at like 21, 22. You're just like, oh man, I got to spend 7 gold right now to go from tier 4 to tier 5. I might take it. And really, like, how many tier 5 minions? You talk yourself out of it, and it's scary. You're like, no. I want to find a few more buffs and everything. On average, when you're in that spot, the first person to make the leap ends up on average with higher MMR. Just because a lot of people are going to be playing scared. You might take damage. In fact, you're probably going to take some damage on the next turn. But the later on the game goes, the more damage you take and the more punishing it is for you to level up. So you might as well just level up during that time. It's hard for me to say exactly when, like, going from tier 4 to tier 5, there's too many factors now, right? Your board is, I have no idea what it looks like.
But like the chances, like, let's say you level on this turn. The chances that you'll find an actual tier 5 minion that's, assuming you're looking for like 2 or 3 possible targets, not just like, I need Goldrin or, my whole thing dies. The chances that you're going to find it by just rolling is like better than 50%. So,
yeah,
like, right? That's just math. So you can like figure it out and say like, okay, if I level this turn and I lose, and the next turn I find what I want, that's gonna happen 50% of the time, and I maybe lose again. Do I have a decent chance of still being alive? Because then I'm gonna turn the corner and I'm gonna wreck all these other people. And I may have a 50% chance of losing next turn anyway, right? Like if you're stuck in that like glut of the 15 to 20 health peoples. So I don't know. Overall, I think your odds are decent for finding what you need.
Yeah, they're pretty decent. Leveling and especially being the first to any given tier is always really rewarding because nothing has been bought up yet. You're the first person after a blizzard to like step onto the fresh snow, right? You get to enjoy that. You get to be the first to get there, and enjoy all of those juicy new minions waiting for you. So do it. Make sure you do it. But before you do that, make sure you have a good reason to level. And I think, I honestly think this last piece of advice is holding some people back. This is one of those things where I learned a little bit later on in my sort of BG like playing career, which is actually not that long. I don't like God. If you look at my games, it's definitely not as much as a lot of other streamers. But I think a lot of people play. The higher up you get in MMR, the better people are at holding on, at clinging on. That's why the scenario I give where it's like 30 HP and 15 HP, everyone's at tier 4, maybe 1 or 2 are still at tier 3 trying to find stuff. And everyone is just trying to get stronger. And you're just like, I just want to hold on for a little bit longer. We've all been there. This is like too common of a scenario. But if there's nothing great for you to buy in tier 4, if you're kind of tapped out and all you're looking for is like +2/+2 buffs, maybe, you're like, oh, if I can just roll and find like, a couple buffs from my Cobalt and everything, that'd be great. It might be great for that turn, but you're going to fall behind. You're just not going to be able to make it. So level up. Don't be afraid. Take some damage on that turn, perhaps, and then scale up much faster than everyone else.
Cool. That sounds all great advice, and we're all going to be joining you in the 9,000s soon.
Excellent.
Yeah. I still, like, one of the things I'm still working on is positioning. Like, I've gotten better on it, and I've realized what you mean now about taunting too many things. I think I still taunt a lot of things compared to how I usually, like, see you play, but that's because I value the buff taunt guy as a rotational, like, thing for scaling more when I'm not demons. When I am demons, I taunt because it doesn't matter. Like,
nothing scales faster than Wrathweaver and
exactly. But also, you don't need to position stuff when you're demons in the late game.
You do if you're shooty demons.
Yes, you do if you're shooty demons. Yes, but if you're big demons, you don't. So if I'm big demons, I don't like taunt it up more because the +1/+1 stats isn't doing a lot from it compared to a demon. Nope. But there's not a downside either to taunting up there. But for non-demons, there is actually like the positioning. I'm starting to get a good feel of at least where to put my taunts. I don't always do it, but I'll know the right answer if it's posed to me and I have enough time.
Yeah. if you're just big demons, what you actually want to do is taunt up your smallest big demon. Because it's still big enough to take a couple of hits, but that's the one that you are the most okay with dying to a Myexna.
Right. Okay.
So that's what you do. What you definitely do not do is taunt up only two things, and one of them is your 120 like golden floating watcher. That's what you definitely do not do. But yeah, it doesn't really matter. Like for big demons, lots of times it doesn't matter. So yeah, that's sort of BGs. Hopefully, you guys are going to be able to climb from that, and also just look, just like with the arena, think critically. Okay, ask yourself questions. In fact, you can go to part 3 of my part 5 videos. Look at just break down the thought process and the questions I'm telling you guys to ask. And don't ask the exact same questions because it's not applicable. But what I tried to do in my 5-part series is I'm trying to teach you how to critically think and how to learn. Because once you have learned how to learn, you literally can be at least pretty good at any of these games. I mean, this is why, for example, look at Collins, look at Victor, look at Dog. It's like they have succeeded either in Arena and Constructed. They've also succeeded in like other auto battlers. They've succeeded in BGs. And it's because they have learned how to learn. They know how to think and how to go through this process. So for them, even though the rules are different, even though the game modes are different, if you have that, you can conquer almost any game. Almost. There you go, guys. That's
All
it.
Right. That's it. Anything else? Any question from the GOAT?
Question from the GOAT for this week. Give us a little bit of update on your life, man. So you've been house hunting.
Okay, you want to update on my life? This is a podcast, and so for the people who are listening, we'll fill in the gaps. But if you're watching this video on YouTube, look at this. Do you guys see my hair in the front? I now have like 2 very, very freaking prominent strands of completely white hair. This did not exist 2 months ago. This is very depressing news for me. You can see it. It's very prominent. I'm like purposefully, like as a statement, not removing these. I can get them plucked. But it is a sign that at 33 and a half years old, I have turned that corner of my life. Only 2 white hair. Oh, I've had other white hairs before, like in the back and wherever, but this is like a prominent mini patch. It is happening. It is happening. That's my life update. In other news, this year probably getting married. Maybe having a baby, maybe next year, and buying a house right now. Looking at stuff, trying to see like how much money to dump into this thing. It's still crazy. I still feel bad about it, but apparently everyone does it, so I shouldn't. But it's so crazy to me to buy a house for more money than you have. Like, so if the bank's obviously not going to do this, but if they were like, pay your mortgage now, you'd be like, I'm dead. I'm totally bankrupt. And everyone does it. That's just how you buy a house. But that feels very weird to me. All right.
Yeah.
That's my huge life update. What about you?
I don't know. I'm working out. I'm eating meat and cheese.
Yeah. Still married?
Yeah. Still married. There you go. Weekly update. That's basically it. All right. Thank you. Great update.
All right. Next week on the Lightforge, we'll talk about the new meta in the arena that's happening, hopefully, assuming they do the rotation next Tuesday, like we all think they're going to do. Yeah, until then, this is just also another reminder. The tier list is going to be updated. It is going to be updated. If the rotation is what we think it is, it'll be updated on day 0. If the rotation is not what we think it is, it may take another day or 2 for us to update it. But it will be updated definitely way before the next Lightforge podcast. We're working on it. All right. Until then, see you guys. This is Adwicta.
This is Merps. Bye.